For the longest time, right, there has been a story told by some people, especially those who moved to the West. I'm talking about the US, the UK, and also some European countries. And what they say is that religion is dying there. You hear it framed as if churches are emptying and faith is disappearing. And some church buildings are even being turned into bars and some secular spaces. While those claims are often rooted in real changes, like generational shift, cultural resistance to institutions, and visible rise in non-religious identification in some survey. But the broad sweeping conclusion that religion is over, that some people tend to claim, is a hasty generalization. It mistakes a few visible trend or anecdotes for universal truth. So when someone points out an empty pew or a repurposed building and then declares that everyone in the West has abandoned the faith, and people that do that very often are people that moved from Asia and also Africa. Some people, right? This is a logical shortcut, and it ignores the diversity of experiences across neighborhoods, across denomination, and generations. So, it also tends to come from a particular emotional place. I've noticed that some of the loudest voices in this conversation are people who are bitter or disillusioned by their own experiences with religion. I'm not trying to negate or sideline their hurts. They try to base their categorical statements on the hurts churches create, and they speak from anger and vexation. And that anger can turn into a desire to tell a simple dramatic story and say religion is dying in the West. Oh, they brought religion to you and they are not even doing it anymore. That's what they normally claim. That narrative is powerful because it feels decisive, but it's not the whole picture. Now, if you look at the video I'm showing on top of this clip, here's what I want you to hold on to today. As we begin Lent today, I want you to genuinely hold up to this. Human beings keep searching for meaning making. Across cultures, across generations, across eras, people look for something beyond themselves, whether they call it God, the divine, transcendence, or simply a deeper purpose. Now, that search doesn't vanish because a headline says decline, or some people have decided to push that narrative. What it does is that it changes form, shift places, and find new expression. And in some communities and denomination, attendance has dropped. That is true. In others, participation is lively, and in some places is growing. So the local context matters. Because they say in the West, church is dying. That's what they say. But I want to give you a concrete snapshot of my own life story today. This is the most humbling experience I've ever had in my life, especially when it comes to this topic of churches dying in the West. Today I attended Ash Wednesday Mass at the Cathedral of the Incarnation in Tennessee. I worship there. And there were multitude services, there were multitude masses. I think they had 3 to 4 masses today, scheduled for today. And each of these masses drew strong, when I say strong, I mean really precocious attendance. But what struck me wasn't a room full of elders holding on to old habits. It was a number of younger people filling those pews, and people were standing actively. The whole place was filled up, packed. There was no space. In fact, the video is not doing justice to the numbers of people in that church today. Like I said, they weren't just having one mass, 4 to 5 masses today. So it wasn't just a handful of young faces. It feels like a real influx. People were flocking. Now, that personal experience is not a scientific survey, but it challenges the simple claim that young people have universally abandoned spiritual practices. Right. So across the last decade, we've seen complex pattern. In some places, right, younger people have drifted from traditional affiliation, while in others, they have returned or even staying engaged, sometimes in different ways. So you can see the dynamics here. So we should be careful here. We should be very, very careful about the story we choose to believe and what we listen to. So the blanket statement about entire continents or generation erasing this nuance. But they fail to acknowledge that some people left religion because it hurts them. People have different experiences. So trying to use your personal experience to blanket the movement of faith in this generation is not a good way to go. And that will deserve attention and care. And they also miss the way faith communities are evolving and how many individuals, young and old, continue to seek meaning together. Right. I've been a chaplain for more than 2 years now, and one thing I see is the human attempt to make meaning. Humans are always looking to make meaning, irrespective of the race, the class, the gender, the age, the shape, and the size. So this is a theological and philosophical tradition that helps name the human longing. And Augustine spoke of it, that finding beauty that felt ancient and new, a discovery that arrived late but was transformative. Oh, beauty so ancient and new. So many people describe spiritual life in similar terms, not as a static institution, but as an encounter that renews and reshapes us. And that's the whole idea of the Lenten season. Because if you walk into a crowded service and feel moved by the presence of others seeking the divine, that's a form of evidence among many. And I experienced that today, and I was moved to make this video because of what I saw at the Cathedral of Incarnation today. The longing, the yearning. There's this song that says, like the deer that yearns for running streams, so my soul is yearning for you, my God. So you can see the yearning in human people today, being Ash Wednesday. So if you are listening to this conversation about religion in the West, pay attention to the nuances. Don't let dramatic people, dramatic anecdotes or angry voices draw you out, draw you into a very quieter realities. Look for multiple sources of information. Observation, local observation, careful survey, and the testimony of people who have been wounded and chosen healing over cynicism. We must understand that. It's very important, very germane. So the map of contemporary faith is patchy and complex, not a single grey swat. So as we enter into this Lenten season, my hope is that each of us will be able to reflect, use our time to reflect honestly, reflectively, and we can adapt the Latin phrase that I call a speculum. That's the objective reality about what has hurt us, what still calls us from within, and how we might participate in meaning making together. And for those who are part of the church community, be mindful of the newcomers and the young people who are showing up in for greater numbers in some spaces. For those who have left or because of harm or hurt, know that your experiences matter, your feelings are valid, and that speaking them in the part of the work is also renewal. Your feelings are very valid. But I tell you today, from me to you and yours, do not be distracted by the loud narrative on social media, be it Instagram, be it Facebook, be it TikTok, be it YouTube, saying that religion is dead. Look, instead, people who are searching and gathering and worshiping in ways both old and new. People are still actively searching for the divine, trying to connect to the source of life. So may this season of Lent be a fruitful one for all of us. Amen. And one last note I will say is that wherever you stand, inside a pew, outside of an institution, or somewhere in between, consider this season an opportunity for you to listen, to heal, and pay attention to how meaning is being sought and found around you. I will tell you this for free. There is a current religious revolution happening in Christianity, particularly Catholicism in the US. There's been a sporadic increase. And this is not coincidental. This is unprecedented. And this is a gift. Pay attention. Shalom.